This is lesson 2-7, where students will calculate the percent of a number. You can open your Glencoe math book to page 148 and follow along with me. The main thing for you to remember when you're calculating the percent of a number is that the word of means times. Up here it says to find the percent of a number, you'll write the percent as a fraction, then multiply the fraction by the number. Percent of a number means we're going to take the percent multiplied by the number. We're going to actually do this in two methods, and one of them could use fractions. The second method, instead of changing the percent to a fraction, we're going to change the percent to a decimal. First example on page 148, we have this circle over here of a survey that was given to students of what kind of snacks they have. And the question over here says to find the number of students that have cheese as a snack. So we find cheese in our circle, and it says 15% of the students have cheese. There were 300 students who were asked, and 15% of those students had cheese. So we are going to calculate 15% of 300 students. And of, I told you just a minute ago, of means we're going to multiply. So we're going to find 15% times 300. Here, the first method uses a fraction. And we're walking through here. Some of you are really good with fractions, some of you not so good with fractions, but this is an option. We're going to change 15% to 1500ths. We could simplify that to 3/20ths. Then we're going to find 3/20ths of 300. Of, look at this, of means times. 3/20ths times 300. If you were to work that out as a fraction, you'd say 3/20ths times 300 over 1. You'd get 900 over 20. Using a calculator, 900 divided by 20 is 45. That's the fraction methods. Now I know that fractions are not. Method 2 uses, instead of a fraction, method 2 says write the percent as a decimal. And I would imagine many of you will choose this method because when we write the percent as a decimal, we're going to do my cute little swoopy thingies here and go from 15% to 0.15. But we're still finding 15% of 300. Only now we're going to go back to and say 0.15 times 300. And using a calculator, 0.15 times 300, calculate with a calculator, you're still going to get the answer of 45. Now our textbook here offers us this bar diagram as a visual for you to be able to see what's happening. That 10% would be 30 plus another 5% would be half of 30, and this might be confusing for many. You don't need to worry about this bar diagram. Let's do it. Okay, so here we have the same survey, snacks. Okay, now it says find the number of students at York Middle School that have chips as a snack. So I have to look over here and find chips is 18%. So 18% of the students, and again there were 300 students, so we're going to find 18% of 300. Now always of means we're going to multiply, so I'm going to change that to multiply. And you could decide if you want to make 18% could either be a fraction, 18 out of 100, or it could be a decimal, 0.18, and you use your calculator. I'm going to make mine a decimal because I'm really good at the swoopy things here. And I'm going to say 0.18 times 300. I get my calculator out and I type in 0.18 multiplied by 300, and I get an answer of 54. That was the number of students, so I'm going to say 54 students. Percent of the number, change it to decimal times the number. You've got this. This is going to be good. 9, and we're still doing the same thing. only now we're going to have a little bit harder percents, really big percents, greater than 100%, or less than 1%. But we're still doing the exact same thing, 145% of 320. We're going to change, in this example, they changed 145% into a fraction, okay? Personally, I would say, let's change 145% into a decimal. And so I would swoop back 2 spaces and do 1.45 of means times 320. And if you use a calculator, you do indeed get 464. Okay? Uses the fraction method again. 220% of 65. We could do that as a decimal instead. I'm going to just cross off that complicated looking mess of boxes and lines and know that if I did 220% of 65, here's what I do. Swoop back and do 2.20 times 65. Okay? Peasy. This one looks kind of messy, looks really complicated because it says 0.25%. Don't be confused that the fact that there's already a decimal there, this is still a percent because it has a percent symbol. So we have to change it. We have to go 0.25 back 2 and change it to 0.0025. So we take right here 0.0025 times 58, and my calculator tells me it's 0.145. Okay, as long as you can, the method works great. I'm going to do letter B, the first one, with you right now, and then I'm going to have you pause the video and try C and D on your own. So anywhere I see of, that's times. I'm going to change my percent to a decimal, 1.28 times 550. And using my calculator, 1.28 times 550 is 704. Okay, pause the video, you try letter C and D, and then start the video again and check to see that you got the correct answers. All right, if you change this to a decimal, 0.003 times 200 gives me 0.6. That's for letter C. And letter D, 0.0085 times 600 gives me 5.1. It's a really small amount. It's less than 1%, so that makes sense. Okay? One more example for us to work through. Page 150. In a recent state Special Olympics meet, Franklin County sent a team of 70 players. 20% of the team competed in soccer. How many athletes competed in soccer? These are a little bit more complicated when we have a story problem because you have to figure out what we're talking about here. Here we're finding 20% of the team. 20% of the team of 70. So 20% of 70. They change that to a decimal times 70, and you get 14 team members on page 150. In the same meet, 15% of the team from Delaware County competed in tennis. If there were 20 members on the team, how many competed in tennis? Pause the video, see if you can set it up correctly for yourself. Solve the problem and then check. All right, 15% of the team means 15% of the 20 members on the team. We said of means times. We're going to change this to a decimal, 0.15 times 20, and we get 3 tennis players. All right, I think you're ready to do this. Good luck.